The key thing about this model is it really, really is simple. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but it is simple. And it's just focused on 6 key parts of your business. And if you can focus on those 6 key parts and strengthen those 6 key components, business becomes easier.
Kia ora team, Richard Liu here, editor at NZ Entrepreneur. And today on the Knowledge Base, I'm joined by Debra Chantry-Taylor. Debra's from an organisation called EOS, or the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's going to be filled with heaps of interesting insights for you. I know this because I've looked at the system myself. So joining us from Auckland today, Debra, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Richard. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Now, I can see in the background there, you've got a whole heap of awesome EOS books, merchandise information. So can we just crack straight into it? What exactly is EOS?
So EOS, as you said, was the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which really means it is a set of simple, pragmatic, practical tools that help you keep your team focused on what's important in business.
Right. So can you give me a sense of some of those tools in their application, for example?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with kind of what it's aimed to do, I suppose. It's really about getting all of your people rowing in the same direction. So we talk about making sure they're all on the same page in terms of the vision. So who you are, who you serve, where you're headed, what you're trying to achieve, having a plan to actually get there, having the traction, which is a discipline and accountability to actually hold them accountable for that plan every single day. And then the third thing is healthy. It's keeping people fighting for the greater good and being very cognizant of what is best for the business and having those difficult conversations about some of the issues that may be holding you back.
You've spent a good majority of your career helping people in business, from startups through to SMEs and larger organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a bit about how you came across EOS? Like why are you all about that now?
Sure. You're absolutely right. So I've been running businesses since I was in my early 20s, both for other people and also for myself. And I've been coaching now for close to 20 years. So I did a lot of work at the Ice House and then had my own coaching practice and just a lot of work. I've always been really passionate about business as a whole. And I've always been really interested in helping people not only create a better business, but enable a better life because of that. So I came across EOS because they actually used my event center in Auckland to launch into New Zealand. And I remember seeing at the time the name EOS, and I was a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization at the time. And I thought, EOS, there must be some kind of linkage. Put the two together and worked out that, yes, it was a system for helping entrepreneurs, read the books, fell in love with it, signed up almost immediately to actually train as an EOS implementer. And that was 5 years ago.
Right. Okay. So, who are you working with now? Like, give us a sense of some of those organizations.
Yeah, I mean, really, they're privately owned businesses generally. They're usually fall into one of two camps. So they're either growing really, really fast, which means their wheels are falling off and they need to put some structure, some discipline in place, or they've been going for a long, long time and have kind of hit the ceiling and feel very stuck in where they've got to. So with the ones that are going really fast, where the wheels are falling off, it's really about putting some structure and some discipline in place to help them get back on track. And for those that have hit the ceiling, it's about, okay, how can we actually break through that ceiling to get to the next level of growth? How do we scale up to the next level?
The reason I'm interested, and I've looked into the EOS system myself for our business, got the books here, had chatted with you a number of times, and I've got to say that my 24 plus years of running businesses, I wish I'd learned about this way sooner. And there's a couple of things that really jumped out at me. I wonder if you could delve into it a little bit more. But can you explain this concept within the EOS framework of the entrepreneur, the visionary versus what they call an integrator? Because I think, as an entrepreneur, when I heard about this concept, that's really what got my attention.
Yeah, this is actually a game changer. One of the things that really is quite unique within the EOS. So EOS is no magic silver bullet. There's nothing in there that you probably haven't heard before. What it does, it just simplifies everything down. And one of the concepts that Gino Wickman, who wrote the traction, the EOS model, brought to life was the fact that there is actually this thing called a visionary and a thing called an integrator in a business. Now, as an entrepreneur, when we start a business, we often take on both of those roles. The visionary is that person who's very, very big picture, pushing the boundaries, hundreds of ideas, creates the culture, gets the inspiration, the motivation to get things happening. But in reality, they're not quite so good at the day-to-day functioning and keeping the wheels turning in the business. And so the integrator role is a role about somebody who's going to come in and work alongside that visionary to take those ideas, to take that thing and put it into a plan and make sure that plan is executed on a daily basis with the team. And for me, I know that I've seen it with businesses I've worked with. It can just be a game changer because suddenly you can actually understand that they're two very, very different roles. So you think the visionary, they can change the world. They're really pushing the boundaries. Whereas without having something like an integrator to hold them a little bit grounded and make sure they're doing the right things, things can go sort of very drastically wrong. And so that's the concept of having this person who is the visionary, the person who's the integrator, working together with a bit of natural tension to ensure that you're getting the right results and they're not holding each other back. They're just complementing each other to work on bringing that whole business vision to life.
And anyone who started a business or tried to will know it is hard. It's one of the hardest things I believe you can do. Very rewarding if you get it right. That's absolutely for sure. But as a founder, I'm sure that there's heaps of people watching who maybe can relate to some of those things that you just mentioned. From just feeling the sheer overwhelm of the responsibility to having created something with the best of intentions, it can go very quickly from what might be into what is, and now we find ourselves in the weeds on the day-to-day, frustrated because nothing seems to be really going right and all of a sudden we're not doing, it can feel like the thing that we started out to do in the business, we're no longer able to do because we're spending 90% of our time working on other stuff that isn't so good for us.
And also when you're doing that stuff that isn't so good for us, it's not a great headspace to be in either, because it's not something that's natural for you. It's not something that you actually get great pleasure out of. And so the energy that comes with that is not great. But also I'm sure, because I've run my own businesses too, and I'm a bit of a visionary myself. I know that I'm really, really good at certain things. I'm not so great at the difficult conversations. I'm not so great at the nuts and bolts that keeps everything turning over. And so being able to define a role that can actually help you with that just means you can actually elevate yourself up, delegate it down to the integrator to actually run the business. And you can get back to doing what you actually really loved and were really great at. And that's where the value comes for the business too, right? As a visionary, if you're doing those things that you love and are great at, you're adding the most value to the business.
In a way, is this bad news for entrepreneurs out there who believed that they were going to be enough to go on and build that awesome business of theirs? I mean, is that what we're saying here? Essentially, look, get a clue, you cannot do it by yourself.
Pretty much. I mean, you can for a period of time. We all do. I mean, I've had several businesses myself, and in the beginning, we have to do everything. But if you really want to grow and you really want to scale, every time you're doing something that is not the stuff that you love and are great at, you're actually pulling the business backwards. And so this is actually an opportunity to go, hey, there are actually people out there who love this, like people who are integrators. They love the minute detail. They love making sure everything's working to the best of its ability. They love holding people accountable. They love having the difficult conversations. So all this stuff that we don't necessarily love as the entrepreneur side of the business, there is somebody out there who is almost like the yin and the yang, the absolute opposite of you, but who will actually support you to free you up to do what you need to do. So yes, it will mean letting go, and that's always a challenge because it's really hard when you've got your baby and you've developed it and you've built it. But it means that you can actually hand that stuff over to somebody else to make sure that stuff happens.
Very cool. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how people watching this might be able to engage with EOS? Like, what's the starting point here? What is it? Do they need to have a whole bunch of money put aside somewhere, or do they need to be a certain size?
Yep. No, interestingly, no. I mean, EOS works for anybody who's got more than one person in the business. So even a husband and wife team can actually use the EOS framework to develop the thing, or if you've got two co-founders working together. So as long as you've got more than one person, this is the kind of framework that you can actually implement. All the tools are actually readily available online. So you can actually go online and you can go to eosworldwide.com. You can find all the information there. But if you're not the sort of person who's very good at taking this stuff without having some explanation behind it, we actually run regular workshops that are pretty much free of charge or very cost effective to come along and learn about how to use these tools. And then it comes down to how fast do you want to go? So if you want to, self-implement, you can do it on your own. It's all the tools are there. It's readily available. If you want to go a bit faster, you might join an academy with a cohort of people that you can actually work together with. And if you want to go super fast, you might actually engage with somebody like myself or Adam or another EOS implementer who will actually help you to really put the pedal to the metal. The key thing about this model is it really, really is simple. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but it is simple. And it's just focused on 6 key parts of your business. And if you can focus on those 6 key parts and strengthen those 6 key components, business becomes easier.
And websites?
I mean, eosworldwide.com is the actual main website. If you go to /Debra Chantry-Taylor, not quite sure. When we put the URL into the notes here because it's a very long name, but that's where you'll find most of the stuff. We can also go to the Business Action website, which has got the same information as well, so businessaction.co.nz.
What's your final sort of message to anyone watching this, business owners? Anything you'd like to say to them?
Well, I just think that business can be hard. I've done it myself. I had a couple of great successes, a couple of great failures, and this is just a beautiful framework that can actually help you. It can help you find the right people. It can help you make sure you're doing the right things, and it's actually going to mean that you're going to be able to let go and get back to doing what you love. And if you're back to doing what you love, that's when your business will really fly.